जी नमस्ते. Let's try to recap the content what we have discussed so far. Uh, Before that, if you have any questions or clarifications, we can take it up that also. Right. We can have some questions. I think I'm audible. So we were just recapping the contents, what we have discussed in the previous sessions. So we can clearly see that the basic aspiration of every human being is to live in continuity of happiness and prosperity. And the right way to proceed is to understand the basic aspiration first, and then we decide a program to fulfill this. And as you know, the level of implementation, there can be several ways in terms of becoming something, in doing, getting something, etc., to fulfill the basic aspiration of being in happiness and prosperity and continuity. And we also might have noticed many times the favorite path chosen by the students might be based on borrowed notion or sensation if they have not explored the right understanding. And this understanding might be of help for the students in exploring all the possibilities, is what we can see. And this is fundamental because this is the first thing which we need to understand, that the basic aspiration of all of us is to be in continuity of happiness and prosperity, isn't it? And if you look at what is the effort we are taking, the present effort, sometimes we can, if we lack understanding, we may think that we wanted to have a job profile, probably a career opportunity, which will give us a very good package. And if you look at uh, the expectation based on that, we might end up in somewhere which is not leading to happiness and prosperity, right? So probably sometimes we may wanted to have a high package job, but then we may choose something which may not be, which we are not interested, something which is not aligned to our passion. And when we choose something like that, we might end up not having the happiness and prosperity part, right? So the basic understanding of what is our basic aspiration should be there as the first step. And then we try to understand the basic human aspiration and what is the program to have or program to fulfill this basic human aspiration, right? Which we see as the desirable state. So this figure shown in the picture will show the program to fulfill the basic human aspiration. And we can see there are three important things: the right understanding, the relationship, and the physical facility in the appropriate priority which is needed, right? So the highest priority is for the right understanding, which in the self, which we have seen. And the next priority is about the relationship with the other human being. And the third priority is about the physical facility with the rest of the nature, right? So when we have this in the appropriate priority, or when we have this right understanding in terms of the relationship with other human beings, I can be living in harmony with other human beings, right? Which means that there will be mutual happiness in myself as well as the other human being with whom I am interacting, isn't it? And if I have this right understanding in terms of the physical facility, then I'll be able to know what are the physical facilities which are needed for me, and how much physical facility is needed. So if I have this understanding in terms of physical facility, I will be living in harmony with the rest of the nature, which enables mutual prosperity, which means prosperity in myself, the feeling of prosperity in myself, as well as the nature, right? On this, the first part, the understanding part, probably we can say that is the understanding harmony, right? So, which includes understanding harmony in the level of human being, understanding harmony in the level of family, understanding harmony in the level of society and nature and existence, right? So this part, understanding part, is what we call the value part. And the next part is also about the living, right? So once we have this understanding, then we live with these values while interacting with the human beings and when interacting with the rest of the nature. So this living part also are in all the four levels at the level of individual, family, society, nature, and existence. So this we call as the skills for living in harmony. This is what we propose as the program to fulfill the basic human aspiration of living in continuity of happiness and prosperity. So next we have to understand, we have understood, we have tried to explore what is happiness and prosperity. And the proposal, what we put forth here is that happiness is to be in a state of harmony. And it is not about excitement. So this need to be very clear that happiness is not about excitement and that happiness is to be in a state of harmony. And unhappiness is to be forced to be in a state of contradiction. So we have used the word forced because normally we don't want it to be in a state of contradiction. But because of our lack of understanding in terms of the imagination, because in some situations we'll be forced to be in a state of contradiction, and that will lead to the unhappiness within us, isn't it? So if you have any questions regarding this, you can put forth any sharings which you would like, you can put forth that also. Are we able to see what is happiness, what is unhappiness, and what is the difference between happiness and excitement, right? So any questions or sharings from your side, you can put forth here, and it may be useful for other participants also. So if we are exploring this content for maybe for quite a long time, probably you may be able to share some of the experiences while looking within in terms of uh, the uh, the experiences which you were able to see while before understanding the content of happiness and unhappiness. What you have thought about happiness and unhappiness is something which you can share. And what is the current level uh, of understanding with respect to happiness and unhappiness? Right. So prosperity is the feeling of having more than required self-esteem, right? So it's a feeling. It's a feeling I have when I have the feeling that I have more than required physical facility, right? So be it the food we need for to eat, or be let it be the clothes which are required for protecting our body, be it the gadgets or the devices uh, or the chapels, all those things comes under the physical facility. So when I have more than required the physical facility, I can have this. I will be having the feeling of prosperity. For example, if there is a three-member family and each person needs 3 chapatis to eat, right? And we have more than 9 chapatis, let's say 10 or 11 chapatis. So we have the feeling of prosperity that we have more than required physical facility. So why do we say that, uh, to have the more than required physical facility? The one thing is about if we have more, even if I need at times one more chapati, I am having it. I don't have the feeling of deprivation, right? The other thing is that even if I have 9 plus 1 chapati, I can share the additional chapati to someone who is in need, right? Or it can be stored for maybe after a second iteration of need. So that is also possible uh, when I have more than the required physical facility, right? So also sometimes what happens is that if it is just the sufficient number, I may have the feeling of deprived at times, right? So that is also possible. That's why we say that we should have more than required physical facility to have the feeling of prosperity, right? So the prosperous person thinks of right utilization and nurturing the other, right? So this is the one of the outcome probably we can say that uh, the prosperous person thinks of right utilization and nurturing of the other. Okay, so let's say if I have much more than required, like let's say I have a lot more food to be used, I'm not rightly utilizing that physical facility you can see, right? Probably it may go waste. Probably, yeah, when it is going waste, it is like if you see, it is coming from the nature and it is going waste. So it's not rightly being utilized, right? And if I have a little bit more than the required one, then I will be thinking of nurturing the other, like sharing the food, or it may be any other physical facility. I'll be I'll be thinking of sharing with other and nurturing the other. On the other hand, what do a deprived person think, right? So in a deprived person, he thinks of accumulation and exploitation because he doesn't have the feeling of prosperity. He has a feeling of deprivedness. So what he do, right? He will try to accumulate more and more, even though he has more, and but he is not able to see that he is having more. Can you see that, right? So let's say in the same example, 10 chapatis are there for 3 people. Even though I have 11 chapatis, I'm not able to see, I'm not able to see how much chapatis are needed for my family, right? So even though I have 11 or 12 chapatis, I will have the feeling of deprivedness. I will have a lacking feeling, right? So what will I do? Even though I have more than enough, even though I have 12 chapatis, even I would, first of all, I will feel a disturbance within me because I have the feeling of deprivation. And then I will try to accumulate more, right? So when I try to accumulate, mostly what happens is that it is like it could be exploiting the other, or it could be exploiting the nature as well as, isn't it? So this is the outcome of uh, a person who is having the feeling of prosperity or deprivement, right? So then we spoke about aspirations and concerns of the individual level, and we have listed out some of the concerns uh, what the students are having mostly. And if you quickly read out some of the concern, it could be like coming out of stress. It could be managing pressure of academics. It could be like time management. It could be time lost due to illness. It could be the something related to the entertainment, right? It could be about domination of one gender by another. It could be the pressure of placement. It could be overthinking or mostly negative thinking happening repeatedly. It could be about attending classes, right? So this is also interesting, right? So many times uh, uh, for the students, the attending the classes itself is a concern, right? Many of them may be hesitant to attend the classes. So that might also be a concern. And there can be concern of the peer pressure, the temptations, and the anger. Probably this is a very important issue which we need to address. The anger, and out of the anger, the behavioral pattern arising out of the anger. Sometimes it could be destructive. There are many people who just breaks these what you call devices. There are people who just when overcome by anger, they will throw their phones, even though it is a very costly phone. They don't see that it is uh, it's a loss for them. There might be people who, out of anger, hurt other people and hurt themselves, right? And that is one of the important concerns what we generally see uh, listening to the students and also in any human beings, right? If you look at the older generation also, the adults also. Another concern generally we see from students is about the depression because they try to get favorable feelings from other, or it may be peer pressure or something because of which they go into the depression. And these are all only few of the concerns what we have listed here right now. And we wanted to resolve our concerns. So unless we resolve our concerns, till that time, we will be disturbed with it, isn't it? So any concern we have, till the point we resolve the concern, it will be a disturbance within. And generally, if we don't have the understanding, how do we go for the resolution of concerns? So we try to address these as a piecemeal, right? So we make effort for personality development. We think that our personality is not that great, then we may make effort for personality development. Or we may go for stress management classes, isn't it? And sometimes memory enhancement. For that also some techniques and trainings will be there, anger management classes, and so on. Basically, what we are trying to say here is that we try to address this concern in the form of a piecemeal, right? Right. Okay. And when we look or try to understand what is the root cause or the basic issue because of which all these concerns are arising, is there a connection or interrelatedness between these concerns? We can say that they are interrelated, right? And the interrelatedness is about the root cause as such, isn't it? So the basic issue is that all of them, most of them are springing out of lack of right understanding. So what does it mean when we say lack of right understanding? So lack of right understanding means when we do not understand a reality, and then we will not be able to live with fulfillment with that reality, right? So if we do not understand human being, we will be not able to live with fulfillment within. So what am I as a human being? If I'm not able to understand it, I'll not be able to live with the fulfillment within. So in that context, we wanted to explore the outcome of understanding the reality called the human being, right? So we can think about, will we be able to live with fulfillment within? Will our concerns at the individual level get resolved if we try to understand the reality of human being? So let's try to understand the human being is the next thing what we have tried out. And we have put the proposal that human being is a coexistence of self and the body, right? And how do we verify that these two are two different entities? The self and the body are two different entities. So how do we verify that? So for that, we try to see the need of the self and the need of the body differently, right? So if you look at the need of the self, we can say that it is happiness, for example, respect, right? Whereas what about the body? And we have seen the need of the body is physical facility, example, food. So when we look at the need, you can see that in terms of time, the need of the self is continuous, isn't it? The need of the self is continuous. For example, what do you think about respect? If you look at the respect, the need of the feeling of respect is continuous. If at all if there is one moment of disrespect, we will feel the disturbance within, isn't it? For example, so I meet my friend who is a close friend of mine, and every time he used to greet me, and let's say one time he didn't uh, look at me, or he failed to greet me, immediately I will notice that I feel, and I will start thinking about why didn't he greet me, right? So that feeling, if at all, is missing even for a moment, we will be able to notice it. So which means that the need of the self is continuous in with respect to time. But what about the need of the body? For example, the food. Do we need this food continuously? Is the question which we can ask ourselves. Can we have this food continuously? Or is it that, like we need the food intermittently? Right now, when I'm having the feeling of hunger, I will have food. And after eating some food, some quantity of food, when I feel full, then I don't want more food. And after some time, I cannot eat more food, isn't it? So which means that the food, the need of the food is temporary. And if you look at the physical facility, you can see that all the physical facility are needed temporarily only. Are you able to see this? And in terms of quantity, you can see the need of the self is a qualitative, it's a feeling. It cannot be quantified, isn't it? Whereas the need of the body, for example, food, as we just saw, is needed in limited quantity, and we will be able to measure or quantify how much food and physical facility is required for us, isn't it? And if you look at how the need of the self is being fulfilled, we can see that the need of the self is being fulfilled by the right understanding and the right feeling. And how about the need of the body? The needs of the body are being fulfilled by physiochemical things. So what does it mean when you say that physiochemical things? So When we say about physiochemical things, we say about the food, the clothing, all the physical facets are made up of physiochemical things. So if you look at the need of the cell and the body, we can clearly see that they are different. Are you able to see this? Right? So if you look at the need of the body, which is food or clothes, right? Can it be fulfilled if I give you respect? Is something which we can thought of, right? It is not possible, isn't it? Similarly, if I need a respect in continuity, will I be able to fulfill that need by providing any amount of physical facility? Is something which we can think of, isn't it? Think about it, and if you have any reflections or sharings, you can put it across. You can raise your hand so that mic can be provided to you. Or if you wanted to put it in the chat, that also would be fine. What do you think about this? Is it clear that the need of the cell and the need of the body are different? Are we able to see this? Do you have any questions? Do you have any experiences to share with regard to this? Okay. Now, if you look at the body and the self and the activity of the self and the body. So what is it about the activity of the self? So in the self, we have the activity, what we call it as imagination. Isn't it? So the activity of imagination includes the desire, thought, and expectation is what we call it as the activity of the self. And what about the activity of the body? For the body, the activity includes eating, walking, swimming, drinking, driving. All these things are activity of the body, isn't it? So if you look at the activities, they are also different and distinct for the self and the body. And based on that, can we see that the self and the body are two distinct entities, right? And in terms of time, you can see that the imagination, the desire, thought, and expectation is going on continuously within me. Am I able to see this? And what about the activities of the body, like eating? We have seen that it is intermittent, it is temporary. None of the activities of the body can be continuous, isn't it? Are we able to see this, right? So in terms of activity also, we can see that the activity of the body and the activity of the cell are different, right? So basically, we are trying to point to the proposal that because of this, the self and the body are two different realities. Then we move on to the next session, which is actually the resolution of concerns, where we spoke about the peer pressure, reaction, etc. Right? And when we listed out the concerns in the previous session, one of the concerns probably is we wanted to be accepted by the others. And this might be the time when we started to develop our personality, when we started to interact with maybe strangers, probably when we, while we are in the 10th or sorry, in the 11th or 12th classes, even then many of the students will be staying with their parents, and probably when they go to higher studies, when it comes to engineering college, there is a greater chance that they will be moving out of their home and then moving to hostels where they will be staying and then going to college, maybe uh, far away from their homes. And many of the students, it may be the first time experience where they will be moving away from the home and the family. And the scenario, the living scenario will be entirely different, like in while they started to interact with or living with somebody who is actually a stranger for them till that time. And in the classrooms also, they will be having the students, other students who are strangers with whom they don't have any acquaintance as such. So let's say in a class of 60 or so, apart from him, all other 59 students probably might be new to him. And for each one of the other, he have to have the interaction with other. Sometimes what happens is that when he's staying in the hostel, his roommates may not be his classmates also. The roommates might be from a different class. So during the daytime also, they don't get a chance to interact. But when they come to the night, they are going to interact and start living together, sharing a lot of space together and respecting their own time and space. All these things they will start learning at that very young age. So here the problem comes to be accepted by the others, how the others will be accepting me or not, right? And we we means the students, we think that we'll be accepted when we are like them. So when I am also like my friend or my roommate, then I'll be accepted, is what I assume to be. Or if I'm better than them, then they want my help or support. They may take it from me. So for that, they will accept me, right? And the acceptance may be in how we look, how we dress, how we talk, what we eat, what we drink, etc., 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 etc. So these are some of the things where we wanted others to accept us. So there is a pressure to be like them. If I'm not like the others, I may not be accepted by the others. So there's a pressure in me to be like them or better in appearance, clothes, language, expression, etc. So this is the part of the peer pressure, is what we are saying. So if you look at the students, it is the same for the other student also, right? The other student is also coming from a similar background, might be coming from a similar background, and he may be new to that place. He may be new to his friends and the environment. Okay. So he's also wanted to be accepted by the others. And how we go about it. So if you assume that happiness may be ensured by favorable feelings from others, we try to get these feelings from them. So this is a very important point to be noted. So if you wanted to, uh, like, uh, uh, we have, if we assume that happiness be ensured by favorable feelings, so we are trying to get these feelings from others, right? And how do we try to get these feelings from others? By being ahead of others or seeking a likeness. So in my clothes, in terms of my appearance, my language and expression, in terms of my financial condition, I wanted to be ahead of others so that others will come to me, so that they will accept me, right? They will take help from me. I I have the feeling of being special. I wanted to be, no, I wanted to have this feeling in others, right? Or it could be like seeking a likeness. So what happens is that, students who have got a similarity in thought process and, likings, they form a group quickly, right? So they have a belongingness with a specific group, right? And I have the thought that because others are doing it, so I also should do that. So one example probably which we generally see is that sometimes what happens is that students from different financial background comes together and they become friends at the institution. And what happens is that some of the students might be coming from very affluent family and they may be living a certain lifestyle. And the other student who is not that much financially, like sound, he also wanted to be like him, to seek a likeness, to be accepted by the other, because he assumes that, or he wanted to have these favorable feelings from others, right? And these two become the major sources of the peer pressure among the students. Are you able to see this? Do you have any reflections on this? Any comments on this? Are you able to see on this? Does this make sense? Is what I wanted to ask you. You can reflect in the chat box also. Does this make sense to the students? Do you have any experience to share with respect to what we are discussing right now? Okay, so what we are saying here is that these two become the major sources of peer pressure. Then we started to understanding the health, right? So here again, we started from the human being, which is a coexistence of self and the body. And the need of the self is happiness, whereas the need of the body is physical facility. And how is the need of the self being fulfilled? So the need of the self is being fulfilled by the right understanding and the right feeling. And when we say feeling, we have a feeling of self-regulation towards the body, right? And what is this feeling of self-regulation? It's a feeling of responsibility toward the body for nurturing, protection, and right utilization of the body. So this feeling is what we call it as self-regulation, right? So I have this feeling of responsibility towards nurturing my body so that I may take the right kind of food which nurtures the body, right? Even if I skip in meals, I may have to manage something so that the body will not get tired, isn't it? I may have to protect the body, and for that I may use appropriate clothing. For example, if we are staying in a place where the winter is harsh or the summer uh, is very hot, then we may take appropriate clothing to protect the body. We may wear appropriate footwears to protect the foot, isn't it? So, and for the right utilization of the body, we may use sometimes a cycle to travel probably like 3 to 4 kilometers. If I don't have the feeling of self-regulation and if I decided to walk, then what happens is that by the time I walk 3 to 4 kilometers in the morning, I may be getting exhausted. I may be sweating, right? And I may be tired when I reach the institution. So instead of that, if I have this self-regulation and I can make a program to rightly utilize the body, probably I can get a cycle, or I can use a vehicle, or use a public transport, isn't it? So that I can rightly utilize the body. So this comes out of this feeling of self-regulation in me. It's a feeling. And when I have this feeling of self-regulation, the outcome is that there will be health in the body, isn't it? See, if I don't have the responsibility of nurturing the body, what will happen? I will not be eating the food which is nurturing my body. So it may lead to ill health in me, isn't it? Similarly, if I don't have the feeling of self-regulation and if I don't take necessary action to protect my body from harsh climatic conditions or from animals, right? Then what happens? It may lead to injuries in my body. It may lead to diseases in my body, right? So similar is the case of right utilization of the body. It may lead to ill health. The body may get sick often, isn't it? So when I have the feeling of self-regulation, the outcome is health, isn't it? So, and what do you mean by this health? When I say I'm healthy, I say that I'm healthy because my body acts according to myself, the directions given by myself, isn't it? So, for example, if I needed to study during the exam hours, long time, probably uh, to extensive hours, then if I have a feeling of self-regulation, I may take the right quantity of food which is actually nurturing. I may do sufficient exercises which is needed because I'm continuously sitting and learning. So I consciously take occasional breaks and take a walk for some time, right? And probably I may do some yoga or something in the morning, right? So that I'll be fresh, right? I may do a change of subjects, right? So these are all programs so that I can ensure that the body acts according to the self. And the other outcome is that the parts of the body are in harmony, in order. So if you look at the body is comprises of a lot of organs which are working in sync. So right now, when I'm talking to you, my heart is beating, my lungs are contracting and expanding. The metabolism is happening within my stomach. There are so many organs like the liver, the kidney, which is doing mm, its own role. The waste disposition, the metabolism, the endocrine system doing the hormone things. All these things are happening. All these things are happening without me instructing the body, isn't it? Because the parts of the body are in harmony by its very nature itself, right? So I just have to understand what is needed, have the feeling of self-regulation, and not disturb the harmony existing in the body is what I need to do, isn't it? Yeah, Mohanty is saying actually utilization of body sometimes crosses the limit because we fail to understand. Very nice. So sometimes what this happens for athletes and people who use their body extensively, right? And you can see many of them having sports injuries because they overutilize their body sometimes, isn't it? So that can also happen. And the other thing which is happen is because of the demand also. For example, that's what I was actually mentioning. Because my lifestyle requires, or my job requires, like extensive utilization of the body is another context where the body is overutilized, right? So when I have the feeling of self-regulation, and if I can see that that is of higher priority, then I will make appropriate programs to ensure the health is what we are proposing. Nice. So this is about the program for staying healthy. The first thing is about the intake and the daily routine, what we call it as lifestyle, isn't it? So intake means what? Intake means it includes air, water, sunlight, the food, or intake through our sense organs, right? Sound, sight, smell, all these things are part of the intake, right? And the intake is very important for staying healthy. For example, if you look at the quality of air, is directly, dependent. Our health is dependent on the quality of air, we can say. If we are continuously living in polluted environments where the air quality index is not proper, after some time it may lead to respiratory diseases for us, isn't it? Similarly, the water we drink, if it is contaminated, it may lead to immediate diseases sometimes, like loose motion or something like that, or over a period of time, because of some of the contaminations in the water, our health will be getting affected, right? And similarly, sunlight is also required for the proper functioning of the body. If probably you may be all knowing about the lack of vitamin D deficiency, lack of vitamin D because of we don't have the exposure to sunlight, isn't it? There are maybe other indirect effects also. And the next thing is about the food. The food has to be nutritious. It needs to be digestible and tasty, and waste is excretable. So it should, whatever we eat through the mouth, it has got the process which is happening in the whole of the alimentary canal. So at the mouth, by chewing, it is getting mixed up with the saliva, and the part of digestion is actually happening there itself. It is aiding the digestion process, we can say. And then when it goes through the alimentary canal, through the food pipe, it should not harm the food pipe, right? And then when it reaches the stomach, it should be able to be easily digestible, and the nutrients may be absorbed there, part of it. And when it comes to small intestine, it has its own role in the process of digestion. And finally, when it reaches the large intestine, it is the watery part is completely drawn from there, and then it goes out without the traces being, toxic things not being stored in the alimentary canal, isn't it? So it should be excretable also. The waste should be excretable. The intake of the food should be in such a way that the food should be nutritious. It gives nutrition to our body. It should be easily digestible, and it should be tasty so that we feel like eating, and the waste is excretable. And similar is the case of all intake to our senses. The sound which we listen, for example, if we are listening to certain industrial noises, people staying in industry areas are found to have disturbed sleep in the night, isn't it? Right? And on the other hand, probably we can see that soothing music has got a positive effect in terms of our the harmony, isn't it? Similarly, the sight, right? What we say that when we watch the TV and when we eat, it may create the effects in the digestion accordingly, right? And similarly, we can think about the rising time, the sleeping time, the eating time, so these are coming as part of the daily routine or lifestyle. So probably, if you remember, we have discussed about the circadian rhythm, where we have mentioned about aligning with the nature. Body is also part of the nature. It is already in harmony. So aligning our body with respect to the nature is what we propose in circadian rhythm. So accordingly, we can, uh, plan our rising time, sleeping time, eating time, etc. And the next one is about the labor. The outcome of labor is the production of physical facility, whereas when we do exercise, there is no physical facility which is produced. So this is the difference between the labor and the exercise, isn't it? So it's 8:30 now. So let's stop it for today. And probably we can continue in the next session on next Wednesday. So thank you so much for joining this session. Right. So namaste to all. See you next week.